your hosts, Rane Carnegie and Britt Loveson.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
Week 11, episode 11 of Part of the Game podcast with your hosts, Rane Rainbow Carnegie.
And Britain B. Love, not hate, Loveson.
Yeah.
What's going on, bro?
Feeling good. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Why is that?
Because it's playoff hockey.
Playoffs? Playoffs? Not practice? Not a game, but playoffs?
Like, wow, it's just so much fun.
Much fun.
I hope you are all out there watching playoff hockey. Our Leafs are back in the playoffs, facing Montreal. Like, what an epic battle. What an epic matchup.
Two original six storied franchises.
Since 1979, the last time we met in the playoffs.
Crazy.
Crazy. Cool, but such a great product out on the ice right now. So all the kids at home watching, really tune in because the game is moving fast, but
looks good.
It looks real
looks aggressive.
Good. It looks
if this series is anything like what I've witnessed on the American side, then it's gonna be a battle of gladiators.
Yeah,
gladiators
for sure. But we have a great show for everyone today. We got an amazing guest. Ray, tell us who's on the show today.
We got Mr. 1000 plus 1,003 game, Matt Stajan. Hell of a guy, hell of a hockey player. Can't wait to get going and talk to him. He's amazing. He's one of my favorite teammates of all time. Learned a lot from him and excited to get going and talk with him.
And we're gonna keep it reserved this time. We're not gonna get all fanned out like last time.
Try to.
We're gonna keep our cool, even though this guy is a friggin' legend, and the Leaf teams he played with, the Calgary teams, and just the Hall of Famers, and oh man.
I can't. It's a homecoming for me because I haven't probably spoken with this guy since we played junior.
Wow.
20 years ago.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Riding a bike.
I hope so.
Catch up where you left off.
We'll see.
Unless you guys had something. But
I did take his car once or twice, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
But yeah, before we go to our guests, another week with another local small business. This small business they're just awesome people. Really family-run business. They're Tata Bless.
Tata Bless! Tata Bless!
They've been around for 5 years, and they started out making hot sauce. They've transitioned to making the best sandwiches and beef patties. But you know what? Before I go on this rant about how great they are, I went to visit them today. Did you bring me
a patty?
I didn't.
Oh, typical.
I didn't.
Always get the short end of the stick.
But so I went to see him today, and while I was there, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this rant or this promotion. I'm gonna let O'Dane, the best hype man since Rane Carnegie.
Is he the O-Dog 2.0?
Yeah, he's O'Dane.
O'Dane, the O-Dog?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to let O'Dane take it away, and he'll tell you what's up with Tata Bless.
Tata Bless, coming your way.
Yeah. What's up, Brittany? What up? POTG Nation, Part of the Game podcast, you already know. I just want to say thank you, brother, for giving me the shout out. Welcome here to the Tata Hot Sauce Emporium. We're located here at 219 Rexley Drive, close to St. Clair and O'Connor. Again, this is a beautiful little community shop, brother, that we service patties, cocoa breads, our world famous jerk chicken sandwich. The most popular sandwich I got going on right now is our Super Deluxe. That comes with a patty, cheese, and a mountain of your jerk chicken along with your fixings on a fresh cocoa bread. Definitely, we got a lot of sweet little treats, some cookies in house, Mama's homemade ginger beer. But again, it always comes down to the hot sauce, brother. This is what got us here. We have other flavors like our mango medium, our papaya medium, our papaya extra hot. Trust me, it keeps going. And we also got our Tata X rated. This one is without fruit. Okay, we're known for taking Scotch bonnet peppers and infusing it with mango, pineapple, or papaya. But the Tata X rated, no fruit, just Scotch bonnet peppers, natural ingredients, all love and positivity. You already know. But definitely, I really hope to see more of the people coming out and supporting. So I hope to see some of the POTG representatives, you know what I mean, to come check us out. And yeah, make sure you tune in to POTG and Tata_bless. You already know. One love, guys. Thank you.
What a guy, eh?
What a guy.
Like the POTG Nation.
Bro.
Like, he's shouting us out, and like he's just the best hype man since Rane Carnegie.
So do I have to now take it a whole nother level?
For sure.
You ever see Key and Peele? A whole nother level.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have to.
Yeah, please go visit Tata Bless. O'Dane, thank you so much. And
219 Rexley Drive, East York.
And
Tata Hot
I want to
Sauce
just,
Emporium.
before we move on there, I want to just shout out his mom who helps
Mama
him run.
Tata?
Mama Tata Bless. She runs the shop with him, and she's the wizard behind all the great sauces.
That's where the magic happens.
They
From
make
the
their
from the
own
mind.
ginger beer. What? They make their
Hey, you
own.
didn't bring me no ginger beer.
I didn't bring you a
Wow.
ginger beer. It's all in-house stuff. Go visit them and support local small businesses.
Support local small businesses. Go visit them, and then also in the comment section, if you know another co-host, I'll be taking auditions because he does not hook a brother up. You go to Tata Bless, you don't bring anything to bless your co-host. Wow.
Don't worry.
So accepting resumes, audition tapes. Let us know because this guy can get out of here.
All right. O'Dane, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mama Tata Bless.
Thank
you.
you. And yeah, moving on to our guest.
Matthew Stajan.
All right, moving on to our next guest, our only guest, but pretty big guest, pretty special guest for us.
Special guest, 100%, and I am honored and privileged to be able to introduce this guest, a former teammate of mine. He really needs no introduction. Over 1,000 games in the show, and I think if he remembers, his car. He had a Volkswagen Jetta back when we played junior in Belleville, and I think that was the first car that I ever drove. And I don't think I had my license until like 5 years after that. So, without further ado, my friend, the one, the only, Mr. Matt Stajan.
Hey guys.
What's going on?
Thanks for joining us.
Where that hat is sick. Where did you get that Belleville hat?
Yeah, well, my wife's from there, so when the team was moving, I was like, I got to make sure I get some gear, and they went to the store at the old Yardman and grabbed me a couple hats. So I was like, perfect time to pull it out. Ex teammate of mine and with the Bulls doing this pod with, I was like, I'm gonna pull it out for this one.
Oh, it's beauty. It's
beauty.
beauty.
That literally, I used to, get chills when we would put on our third jerseys. It was the yellow, like the shiny gold yellow with just that bull on the front. Do you remember those jerseys, Matt?
Oh, those are the best. We should have wore those all the time.
All the time.
Every game.
All the time. Those are sick. But we are so excited to have you. I mean, the career that you had, I mean, there's not a lot of words other than remarkable, stellar. I mean, you could go on and on and on with words of what's the word I'm looking for, adjectives to describe the career that you had. But we want to talk to you about a few things, and we want to start where that hat entails in Belleville. But we want to start in your draft year, and my rookie year. I had the good fortune of being drafted to a team that had a lot of elite players, and one of them
A lot of talent there.
A lot of talent there. And to come in as a rookie and to witness, what some of the players that I was surrounded with were capable of doing was really special to me, and it was a lot for me to take in, coming from minor hockey to junior hockey and playing with future Hall of Famers and superstars. But your line with Nathan Robinson and Mike Renzi, I mean, it was like every shift you're at the seat of the bench waiting for something to go down. Can you talk about what that experience was like, playing on one of the top lines in the OHL for sure, quite possibly in the whole CHL?
Yeah, it was a special year, and that was kind of my coming out party, really. My rookie year in Belleville, which was the year before you came, I put up 27 points. Nothing, it wasn't a terrible season, but it took a while to find my footing. And late in that season, I started playing with those guys and into the playoffs. And then the next season, it was my draft year, and Jimmy Halton started me with those guys because we had some success at the end of the previous season, and we just took off. And Nate Robinson, just speed and skill, very offensive minded, and then Mike Renzi was very similar and played kind of a ratty style, always in your face, and we just meshed. I was more of a disher always, and tried to be responsible playing with those guys, but we took off and never looked back. Those guys ended up 1-2 in league scoring, I'm pretty sure, that year. I ended up with 85 points, I think, and was lucky enough to get drafted that same season. So it was a special year. And, that was the best junior team I had in the 3 years. We traded for Spez, as you know, at the deadline. And so we had two unbelievable lines, and too bad we didn't go on more of a run in the playoffs. But looking back, yeah, I loved every minute of my time in Belleville. And those two guys, the chemistry I had that year with them was special for sure.
Amazing.
Speaking of Belleville, you got to play with this guy here. We had a mutual teammate of yours, Mark Rancourt, on our episode last week.
Yep.
And he always talked about how Rane was just like the best hype man in the world. No matter where you went to the bar or whatever, Rane was just like in your corner, helping you pull, whatever. He was just always there. Give us some stories about the big guy here. How was it?
Other than me always asking to drive your Jetta.
Yeah, Carney, he was fun. It was, luckily, I don't know what it's like today with the young kids, but back then we were able to go out all the time, and I know we were underage, but we would hit our spots, and Carney would be right there, and he'd always be decked out in his clothes, and standing out, making the rest of us probably look back because he thought he was more stylish. I would still question that, but he definitely thought it. Yeah, his hair was always perfectly cut, and it was fun. We'd go out and we had a good crew. It was a lot of fun, and I miss those days for sure. Those are memories. Junior hockey, I think anybody who was lucky enough to play and have teammates, you're like brothers. You're living with built families. You're like brothers with those guys, and we had a lot of fun. And I'm glad our paths crossed, Carney, because we had a lot of fun there. And you beat up my Jetta just as much as everybody else.
Was it stick?
It was stick, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It was.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It was.
They say you can't find it, grind it, right?
I did a lot of that. Because I didn't even have my G1 when I was in Belleville. Yeah. But I was always
it was between me and Rancourt, where you guys had on, we both had stick cars, and we were driving everybody around because we had our cars, and maybe a little bit nicer to most of the younger guys on the team. And yeah, so Carney would definitely try it out. And funny story, that was my lucky car, man. Like I had some good seasons, and the next year when I made the Leafs, I refused to get rid of that car. I was like, I'm driving this thing because as soon as I get rid of it, I'm gonna get sent down to the minors. So I kept it for that season and drove it my first NHL year. So that car did me well. I was thankful for it.
That's amazing. And So talking about, you know, the draft and that special year that you had with Renzi and Robinson and the fun times that we had. I think I was Ray Emery, rest in peace, Ray Emery, but I was Ray Emery from the time I was 16
Yeah, you brought that
until I was 19.
Your
because
fake
when
ID.
we played in the Sioux, he gave me his expired license. So that's how I was able to participate with the older boys to get into the hot spots in Belleville. But the draft and Stajan and he had mentioned that he was a little bit nicer to us youngsters. And one of the things that endeared me to Matt was how respectful he was, how kind he was, and you didn't have a mean bone in your body. Like, I felt safe around you. There were some teammates that we had where it's just like, I can't wait to, like, I hope we go home real soon because I'm about to get beat up or whatever's going to happen. I'm going to be asked to do something crazy. But every time I was with Matt, he always made sure that all of us, not just myself, Rancourt, Jake Gilmore, God rest his soul as well, and a few other the rookies that were on our team. You were just a fantastic leader, and it showed because at the draft, which happened to be at the ACC, which is now the Scotiabank Arena, so it was in Toronto. I didn't go to my draft, but I was damn sure if I was not going to be at Stajan's draft, and also Andre DeVoe was a teammate of ours that we wanted to go support for the draft, and he got drafted by the Montreal Canadiens, Boo Habs, as they just beat our Leafs today. But the whole team, I don't know if it was the whole team, but do you remember all of the boys being there? And then can you just walk through that experience? I can only imagine the draft being in the home city that you get drafted to in the second round. Like, it wasn't like we were waiting all day. It was like bam, bam, boom, bing. Here's a hometown guy who has his whole family there, plus his team there. I mean, I had goosebumps, and it wasn't even my draft year. So what was that experience like for you?
Well, it was unbelievable. It's a moment, you'll never forget. I think it was crazy that everything lined up in Toronto. Getting drafted to Toronto was a surprise to everybody as well. I never went into that draft. I never had one interview with the Leafs. I had 18 interviews with other teams, and Leafs weren't one of them. And I think I dropped a bit in the draft. I was rated 18th in North America, and I ended up going late second round, but it worked out because it was the Leafs. So I remember sitting there, though, during the draft and be like, man, there's like 100 people here just for me. And I might not get picked today on day one because the first 3 rounds were first day. And then I was like, I don't know if they're going to come back the next day. And I kept sliding down and ended up going late second round to Toronto, which was all worth it. And I wouldn't change a thing. So it was special. I don't think, if it's in a different city, I don't get the people there, that were able to come. My teammates, especially, which at that time, like we just talked about, they're like your brothers, So I'm thankful for that experience, and I was lucky enough to have a lot of experiences that I'm thankful for, and I wouldn't, it really brings back chills looking back, to tell you the truth, because it's like, take me back and let me do it all over again. That's what I wish I could do, because it was that awesome.
Amazing.
That's cool. And as Rane talked about, just you being such a good guy to, the younger guys, the rookies and stuff. When you retired, Luke Shen had really nice things to say about you when he first came into the league, how you're just, made him feel really comfortable and, helped him develop as a player. And Matthew Tkachuk and other great players all said the same thing as Rane. You coming to that, pretty iconic Leaf team, who was that guy for you, like when you got with the Leafs? Who took you under the wing?
It's hard just to pick one, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I was the youngest guy. I was coming in at 19 years old, and I was the youngest guy by 4 years. The next youngest, I think, was Ponikarovsky, who was at least 3 years older, if not 4. I think he's a 79 birth. So it was kind of, collective group. I kind of just sat in my corner in the Leafs locker room and just kind of watched, and guys would joke around with me because I was the young guy. But in pro hockey, it's a lot different than junior hockey. There's, you're adults. There's more respect going around, and I was always a respectful guy. I was, I grew up that way, taught to always respect my elders and look, just be that guy. And I never lost sight of that. So when I was in that room, I just kind of tried to fit in any way I could. And I could name anybody, but if I was to pick one guy, I'd say, I got to room with Joe Nieuwendyk that year, so just, on the road, being in a room with him and a hotel room and just picking his brain and learning from him. And he's just, such a nice guy that's been through it all. He's won multiple Stanley Cups with different teams. That's the guy who really, I would say I learned the most from my first year. But in that dressing room, they made me feel comfortable right away. Like Ty Domi to Matt Sundin to Brian McCabe to Darcy Tucker. Like I can name that whole group. Not one guy was gave me a hard time really, other than the rookie parties that you do in the NHL, which, you run up the tab and you pay for the dinner. They were great to me and, embraced me and I appreciated that.
So that rookie season, like the guys you just named, it's just like the who's who of not just the Leafs, like the NHL world. That was your rookie season. I think it was 03-04. Name some others: McGillney, Ron Francis. I think you guys traded for Doug Gilmour before the trade deadline. You talked about being in the room, just looking around, but what was that culture really like? Did you even say a word all year? Or were you just kind of, like you said, just looking around, speak when spoken to, scared to make a mistake? What was that culture with those guys? Because obviously big Toronto boys here, that was a pretty special team for us.
Yeah, I honestly didn't say much. I wasn't a mute, but I sat back in the room. And it's weird because you come from junior where you're one of the leaders on your team. And as my career went on, even in the NHL, I was very vocal. I was a very vocal guy. But yeah, I just sat back and I knew my role and was happy to be there and trying to learn and take everything in. So, we even traded for Brian Leach that year, Ron Francis, like you said. And my first game, I'm seeing beside Ed Belfour in the room. I'm like, this is crazy. And, I did probably, obviously you get more comfortable. And I remember I maybe chirped back at one of the guys once because, eventually you're going to go there. It's a dressing room. And I remember the next day my laces were cut and I was like, okay, I won't be talking much more this season. But that's just the way it went. And yeah, it was just, and you're on the airplane. The thing about the NHL, well, it's not really that different than junior because junior you're spending, you're the whole day you're at school with your teammates, then you're hanging out after school and after practice. But in the NHL, when you get on the road, it's just the team. You're going for dinners, and so that's where you really get to know. Because at home, guys have families, right? So you're at the rink, and then everybody goes a separate way. And as a 19-year-old, I was like, okay, what do I do now? I'm a young guy, but thankfully I was in Toronto and had family and friends there, and it was just it helped me. I matured quickly because of that too, being in Toronto, because you have no choice. And there was no cell phones like there are today, no social media. So, that kind of eased it a bit too, where I could just kind of, be with my family. And then I was playing for the Leafs. I was living my dream at the time, right? It's, you wait your whole life for that opportunity, and that's what you dream of. And, let alone, playing for the Leafs. And I was doing that. So I was just on cloud nine every day, to tell you the truth.
So crazy. We forgot Gary Robert, just the guys.
I can't believe I had the good fortune to play with this gentleman.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he remembers this. So 2002 you get drafted, but then you got sent down after you went to camp with the Leafs and you came back to Belleville for that last year, and you put up some godly numbers. But I don't know if you remember this. You came back, and I got put on a line with you, and we were playing against the Guelph Storm at Yardman Arena, and Fedor Teutin, I think, just told you to shut up. He might have roughed you or something like that. And here I am getting a chance to play with Stajan, Mr. Toronto Maple Leaf. Drop my gloves. I'm not a fighter. I think it was my first career fight. I'm like, okay, he's a Russian. Easy fight. Here I am sticking up for Stajan, right? I was like, the crowd's going crazy, and I have a scar on my mouth from Fedor Tootin, filling me in, punched my teeth through my lip, and I think that was my one and only fight. I fought Rane Carnegie as well in like a preseason game.
Okay.
But I think that was my one and only fight in junior, and I was just like, okay, this isn't for me. But I tried to stick up for Matt Stajan.
Yeah, I remember that. But you picked the Fedor Tootin's tough cookie.
Didn't realize that at the time.
The wrong Russian, buddy.
Yeah, but you know what? I love the chirping. You know what? When guys chirp me, if I would go back, I'd be like, Carney, like, don't worry, let him chirp. We'll get him in different ways. But you know what? You don't just get respect. You know what? You guys know what hockey's like. Like, you're a young guy coming in. Like, I fought when I had to, and you get so much respect from your teammates, even if it's a little reason like that, and I appreciate that. But you know, the boys loved it, Carney, and yeah, just that scar can just remind me of that. Just the boys loving it.
I can never ever forget you because of this scar that I took from Fedor Tootin trying to defend your honor, and I don't even think he did anything to you. I was just like, this is my chance. Yeah. This is my chance. I'm going to jump this guy, and it didn't end well for me. But that's
you should have played more. If you kept playing, would have maybe scored a few goals, and you would have been my liney a little longer.
I know. Well, we have to talk. We need to talk to Jim Holton about that. But that year that you came back and dominated, and I thought that I was George Laraque for a second. You also had an opportunity to represent your country at the World Junior Championships in Halifax. Obviously, it didn't finish the way that we had hoped. But what was that moment like for you? How does that rank? The year before you get drafted in Toronto by your hometown team, the Leafs, your whole family's there. You come back, you dominating in the OHL, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call from Hockey Canada, and they're just like, "Hey, son," or I don't know, I never got that phone call. What happened? What was that like?
It was crazy. That 2-year stretch was unbelievable. Right to the NHL from when I got drafted, even before when it started. But yeah, you get the call, and I was an outsider to make that team. I didn't go to they have these summer camps, and they did back then too, and I never got invited to the summer camp, and I didn't know why. I thought I deserved to be there. When I looked at the other names, even at the time, I was like, why am I not at the Team Canada summer camp for World Juniors? So I had to come out, and I had an unbelievable start that year. I think I had 25 goals in the first 30 games, and I got an invite, and you still got to make the team. So we went to Halifax, and I had to battle to make that team, and I made it as the 13th forward, and my two-way game was the difference. Really, I could kill penalties, I could play on the wing, and I played as the 13th forward and kind of filled in throughout the lineup as that tournament went on. So not being one-dimensional definitely helped me get that 13th forward spot. And yeah, it was special. And Carney, you played in Halifax. You know what it's like in that city. And so when you're representing your country, it was amazing. And we went through that tournament like we were gods. We got treated so well. It was, tournaments, if you're lucky enough to play in it, it's special, right? And you only really get one or two chances because it's all age based. And but the turn of events in the final, we were going into the third period with the lead, and to lose by a goal to the Russians, it's just a dagger. It still bugs me to this day. That's a moment where I'm like, man, this is one of the best experiences of my life, and it was. And we let it slip. But that's hockey, and I still that one bothers me a lot still. Even though the experience and representing your country, that nothing beats that.
Silver medal's not bad. It's not a gold, but
no, I'm proud of it. Don't get me wrong. It's just we were that close to winning gold, right? And I think in Canada, it's gold or fail. That's just the perception you get, or that's the way it is in Canada. We felt like we disappointed the country, and you share a bond with those guys. 2 weeks or a month you're together through Christmas, and we got to do it in Canada, in Halifax. It's such a great city, and it was just a tough one to swallow, looking back. But when I look at the story and how I made that team, and just to be able to be on that team, I'm pretty lucky, and happy and grateful, that my season went that way at the start, and I was able to work my way onto it, and did everything I could to do that.
So then you come back to Bell Vegas, not getting the result that you wanted at the World Junior Tournament. Led us into the playoffs. Season's over. I can't remember who we faced in the playoffs, but we lost. And you get another phone call. And this time, this time, it's the phone call from the show, saying, "Hey Matt, know your season's over." Or I'm assuming, what was that? What happened there? How did you end up World Juniors, playoffs in the OHL, and then all of a sudden, your life's about to change?
Yeah, well, we were playing St. Mike's, so it was
That's right.
It was disappointing. You remember that series? It was
Game
the home
7.
team won every game. Yeah, because we have Olympic ice in
Louis.
Belleville, and they had that tiny barn.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, we lost, and we were doing our end of the year stuff. Carney, we were, like we do at the end of the season in Belleville, and having some fun, saying bye to the boys. And my agent called me and he just said, "Be ready. I think the Leafs want to get something done here." And I was in a unique situation. Because I was on a late birth date. If I didn't sign and went back and played another junior, I'd be a UFA, right? So the Leafs wanted to get something done, and they're like, "We want to get you to St. John's to play a game before the season's done for them," because they weren't making the playoffs. So I basically went from year-end party with us in Belleville to the next day being at the ACC, signing my first NHL contract, to the next day on a flight to St. John's, playing for the St. John's Maple Leafs on the Friday, going out after the game with them for their year-ender as the young guys. So that was another night out on George Street in St. John's, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
To waking up on Saturday, just having a missed message on my phone. I had a missed message on my phone in my hotel room. I didn't even know why I didn't have a cell phone. I probably had a cell phone. It was maybe on my cell phone. And it was Mike Penny, the assistant GM for the Leafs, saying, "We want you to play tonight," because the game meant nothing for the Leafs. So all the guys with minor injuries, like, "Yeah, I don't want to play." And so I was like, okay. So I literally caught a flight at like 1. It was a late flight, and I landed in Toronto at 5 o'clock or 4:45 for a 7 o'clock game. And I remember I napped on the plane, and I, just getting any sleep. It's almost good it happened this way because there's like no time to think, and the nerves weren't there. But so I got to the rink and wheeled in. We had our shaved heads because we had mohawks for playoffs in Belleville, and I looked for. I had a huge scar on my face. I got high stuck in the last game, St. Mike's, and
That's right.
I wheeled in. Yeah, I wheeled into the Leaf room, and guys were looking like, "Who's this kid?" Like Gary Roberts said to Matt Nichol, the trainer, like, "Who's this kid in the corner warming up? Like, what's he doing in here? We have a game." And he's like, "That kid's playing with you tonight." So I remember to this day, I sat beside Ed Belfour, who wasn't playing that night because the game meant nothing, but I was sitting beside him. So he was having, jokes. He was joking around with me, and and I was on a line with Owen Nolan and Gary Roberts, and we scored like third shift in. And that's just the way the week went. It's so surreal to look back. I was in 3 leagues and in a week playing, I scored a point in every game in each league. And I scored my first NHL goal on hockey night with
in your first game in your first shift, no?
Yeah. It was my second shift, but first period, yeah. And yeah, it was crazy. My bunch of we didn't have time to prepare for tickets. Like, obviously my parents got tickets. And I'm so thankful my grandpa got to come to the game just last minute, because it kind of just happened. But it was this is how long ago it was. It's that game was when the home team still wore white jerseys at home. So that was my first game, because I had my first goal puck and I'm wearing a white jersey at home with the Leafs against we lost to Ottawa, but I scored on Marty Prusek. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Nice. So three different teams, 3 different haircuts maybe. How is that? Like, I know that Leaf team was a little bit older, but did that dressing room just like reek of icy hot or icy cold or whatever that soothing gel is? And like Eddie Belfour, I heard he's just like a riot. Like, how is that dressing room? Like, what give us a story, some insight to that dressing room.
It was unbelievable. Like, that one I was only there for the one game, and then playoffs I was a black ace. But it was cool because Doug Gilmour was on the team for that one game, and that's the guy I loved growing up. He was my guy, and I remember him coming to me before the game. He wasn't playing. Part of the reason I was playing is he was hurt. He hurt his knee when he got traded here, and he came into the room and wished me luck. And I was like, man, that's Doug Gilmour, the guy I modeled myself after and loved growing up. So it was just crazy. And that next season was when I made the team. I remember just in training camp, there was no one thought I was making the team, but I led the team in scoring in training camp, and I was like, oh, I might make this team. And I remember just talking to Darcy Tucker at the pregame meal, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, he goes, hey kid, he goes, keep doing what you're doing. They'll make room for you. Don't think it's good, because the Leafs always had a veteran team, and lineups were set. Like, they didn't bring in young blood back then, especially with Pat Quinn. But Pat Quinn loved me, and he embraced me, and I had to work for it. Like, I had to lead. I led the team in scoring in preseason, but I earned that job, and it was crazy. Like, looking back, I'm like, man, that was the names on that team. Like, there's like 5 or 6 Hall of Famers, and they're like, it's like you get to know them on a personal note. So you don't just see them as hockey players. Like, when we look at the hockey players, you see them on the ice, and you kind of think about what they would be. But when you're in a dressing room with them, and you're going for dinners with them, and you're on the airplane, you get to see the personalities and of what these guys are about, and it was just incredible to see how guys are different, but how they're the same, and the things that are important, and they're a lot of fun, right? And I was the young guy that they could really have fun with, and I enjoyed it. I looking back, that's probably the team we traded for Brian Leach. If I had to look through my career, my one chance to win the Stanley Cup, that was probably the best chance I had my first year. And it's crazy to think, because you would never think that it would be that way. But that was the best team I was on, for sure.
Wow. That's I mean, so crazy.
Yeah, it's like
so crazy. So I don't want to be a fanboy, because he's a former teammate, but I'm a fanboy. I'm a fanboy.
Sure. Well, me too. Like, when he's like, Pat Quinn loved me, I'm sitting here like, oh, he was such a Pat Quinn guy. Like, the two-way penalty killing, blocking shots, getting, like, Quinn loved those type of players. And right when he said it, I was like, oh, 100%.
Well, you want to know why? You want to know why they? And I think Matt was about to say something. But one of the reasons why they must have loved him, he had that baby face. He has the peach fuzz going on right now, but he had that baby face. When you have like a whole bunch of fathers, they want to take care of their sons. You're a father now. Yeah. I'm a father. Matt's a father. They want to take care of their son. Yeah. So I think that's why Pat Quinn was just like, hey, I'm going to take care of this little fella here. And,
all right.
I mean, but were there any? Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
No. But like, speaking of Pat Quinn, he was like, he wasn't like coaching wise. He was just he was a motivator, but he was like a coach that he cared about his players. It's the X's and O's were there, but it wasn't like, through my career, there's some coaches that were really good at X's and O's, and that's what they're about. But they lacked that leadership, like with making the dressing room feel as one. And Pat was able to do that. He was the guy that kind of just molded everybody. And so it was just unbelievable playing for Pat. And obviously he's passed away, and we miss him, but he's just a good man. And he probably took some work for me to get him to take me, that but he was good to me. I have he was just like, he's Pat Quinn. What else can I say?
Yeah. Last episode, we spoke with Mark Rancourt about rookie initiations, paying your dues. And I was telling him how I used to hate cleaning up the bus after you guys when we were rookies, and how there's some guys on our team that used to keep the water bottles undone with their chew and it'd spill all over the place. And Jim Reeves wasn't having it. Like, we had to clean that bus, make sure it was spotless. Like, doesn't matter if there's a pile of crap out here. And but what we haven't had a guest that we've asked this question to. What were some of the rituals that you could experience? You mentioned, running up a tab and having to get stuck with. Are there any other stories that you could share with us about some of the crazy, or stories that you might have heard of a crazy, team building experience that you guys had in the show?
Well, yeah, like it's the big ones, the rookie party, and you have your fun. You get 22 guys who are, hockey players, partying, like, it's, but it's nothing like junior. Like, junior's more like, and junior's changed now. Like, I think we're past that and all the initiation, but at the NHL level, like, it's, you pick up pucks after practice, be respectful. Don't be the first guy at pregame meal. Even though nowadays I sometimes wonder, because some of these young guys come in and, they don't follow that stuff. So it's changed even more, but I'm a respect guy. So I was like, no, you wait your turn. You try and teach that respect. That's something that's kind of going away, which I don't like, but I'm trying to think. The big team building stuff, like, different coaches had different things going on, but within a dressing room, like the Halloween parties that we would have, were always ones that were huge team building, I think. And a part of that is at the NHL level, you have a lot of guys have families and wives and girlfriends. So, it's an extended family. It's not like junior, some guys have girlfriends, but at the NHL, you're with your family. You get there at every game. You have a family room, a wives room. So that Halloween party at the start of the year is a big one, because it's the first time everybody lets loose with each other, because there's obviously alcohol flowing and everything else that goes with it. But Matt Stajan would throw the best team Halloween parties of my career. Year after year, you'd have him at his house, and you'd have a tent up, catering food, and it was just unbelievable, and you think about it, like, you're grown men at that point, even though there's some young guys, but like we would have a funnel going, and it's like we'd all be teenagers again for a night, right? And your wives are there, but that brings teams closer together. It was everybody has in their costume, and it's a lot of fun. But I picture it like, you go around and you're doing this, but those you need those as a team, and but there's nothing really crazy I can think of. Like, you have your nights out, and every team does, but it's nothing I could really talk about and say that's going to surprise you at the NHL level, really. In the AHL, it's a little bit more. I remember in St. John's, we did, like, everybody dressed up. You would dress up a rookie, and then you'd have a night out on town, and they'd be dressed however you want to dress them. Usually, you dress a guy up, or a guy would wear skis all night, just something ridiculous like that. But
speaking of which, last episode I brought up with Mark some of the stuff that our veterans like you made us do, and one of the things that we brought up was we had to put on our suits and go to the front of the movie theater by Quinny Mall and sing "I'm a Little Teapot, short and stout, here is my handle," with the actions and everything. Whose idea was that to put us through? Was that your idea? Was it Coughlin's idea? Was it McCormick?
No.
Who was it?
It's pretty reserved, so it might have been Stajan's.
I'm telling you, it was him.
Sounds like a Matty idea.
I was only in my second year when you were a rookie, so nice. I didn't have much say, to tell you the truth. But that's fun, right? You can do that stuff, right? That's not even close to some of the other things that probably went out there that did go on my rookie year. It actually every year I was there, it got a little less and less and less to today. So I guess at the NHL level, though, like, when you're a rookie, like, think about that. That's embarrassing in front of a movie theater. You're with your teammates, but just as bad is when you're a rookie in the NHL and at a restaurant and you're with your teammates at rookie party, one thing they would do is you'd go to the front and you'd have to tell a joke, you'd have to, or sing a song, you'd have to do something. But that's more nerve wracking because you're new to a team and they're all NHLers who you've looked up to your whole career, right? So like imagine being at the front and looking up at like, oh, Matt Stajan and Gary Roberts and you have to like tell a joke or, you know, sing a song. Like that's
do you
a
remember,
whole other level, I think.
Do you remember what your joke was or what song you sang?
I think I went the joke route and then we had to sing a song together. I think we had to do drinking games and the losing team had to sing. But I did a joke and I remember I was like, okay, who and yeah, it has to be good. If you say a joke and it's bad, like you're getting probably food thrown at you or whatever, to say the least. But I remember I was like, okay, I got to pick out a veteran here. Who am I going to pick on that's not going to kill me? So I think I picked on Ken Klee, and I just went with I went with the basic like. This is the joke I told because I heard and I was like, okay, that's perfect. It's not long or complicated. I said, what does January and Ken Klee have in common? You guys know?
No clue.
And I said, oh, they're both minus 20 by the end of January. So I just simple, right? And I didn't want to really.
Oh, that's gold.
I wasn't gonna go raunchy or anything. So yeah, I got it out of the way. Guys laughed. Ken Klee probably cut my laces for a week straight after that. But hey, that's the way I went.
That's awesome. Just before we wrap up those Leaf boys, you were mentioning those Halloween parties, and you know there's always that one guy who just sets the bar, like craziest costume. Like every year, you're just like, come on.
And now I've noticed that the spouses have gotten into it too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
now it's like a tandem
theme,
thing.
like, who best costume?
You and Katie ever win? Like you and Katie ever win?
Knocked it out of the park every year.
Oh, we had some good ones. As a rookie, you go there and you just get like your, you know, crappy Ninja Turtle suit that everybody wears. But as you get going, like some of the guys bring in like professionals and get painted up. Like they come and, but there was some good. Like it's hard to pick one. I remember like the guys that stand out from those parties are like. If Eddie got going. So he was Frank the Tank if he got going. But Brian McCabe, like he'd always be, you know, dancing up a storm and his shirt would be off probably mid-party. And Wade Belak was a ton of fun. I got to room with him a lot and got to know him, and we all miss him as well. Yeah. But it was just, there was so many. Everybody it's one of those things where it starts out slow, right? Any party, but people are in costumes and you're getting chirped if you have a bad costume, and then it just switches like an hour into the night, and it's just a good time. So, there's some good costumes. It's hard to pick one, but the best costumes I always think are when guys chirp other guys on the team. So when guys come dressed as like someone else on the team. So that happened quite a bit. I remember Mike Van Ryn in Toronto came as Berkey and his wife came as Ron Wilson the 1 year. So like those ones are always the funniest. Or in Calgary here, I think Chris Butler came as Mark Giordano's foot. And he came in a big foot and like had all the planters and, you know, guys' feet are from skates and dressed up as that and had a Giordano jersey. So like those ones are always fun or the most, like, because there's a lot of thought going into that. So that's some good stories.
For sure. Speaking of Calgary, you're there now and you're living there. You're doing some work with, I think, Sportsnet, Calgary television as well. The other day we saw Flames TV. Sorry, and the other day we saw I saw a really cool moment between you and Spezza. Like you were kind of interviewing Spezza after like a game or a milestone or something. What was that like? Just like two guys played together in juniors and, you know, kind of same age group.
It's the exact same age group. They're both 83 birth years. Just one's a late birthday and one's, I don't know when he might be a late birthday. He's not a late birthday.
But like,
drafted the year before.
How was that? Like, it was pretty funny. I saw the tape, but I thought it was pretty cool seeing you guys go at it.
Yeah, it was fun. I know Spez. Obviously, we played in Belleville with them, but I also played minor hockey with and against him. Like back when we were in house league, like 5, 6 years old, his dad coached me in Port Credit. So we go way back, and we were rivals a bunch of years. He was in Ottawa, obviously, on those great teams he had. But honestly, like I go to do those games, and I mind my own business. We talk about what we want to talk about, and you get your intermission in. And they were like all over me. Ryan Leslie's the host. He's like, "You got to do this interview. You're doing the interview." And I was like, "I don't want to do an interview. That's awkward." Like, and then I said to him, and I said, "Okay." And then he kept saying it to me like throughout every game, especially in the Leafs game, because I knew if you guys, I said, "Okay, if it's TJ Brody, because I know him really well from Calgary, or Spez, someone I know, then I'll do it, because I could kind of make it a little bit." Poke some fun and do it that way. And of course, Spez scored that night. He's like, "You're doing it." So it's not like I asked to do it, but they're like, "It'll be good TV," and they had me do it. And it went well. I think it's so hard talking on TV. Like I have an appreciation for people who do that. Now that I'm doing it, how hard it is, right? You sit at home and you watch and you're like, "Oh, that guy, what's he talking? He's stumbling over his words." But there's nothing more nerve-wracking than staring into a camera and trying to explain yourself in 30 seconds. It's that's probably more nervous than I get more nervous for that than I ever did for a hockey game.
I think we feel that too.
Doing
this, this is like so foreign to us. Like,
and this is like off the dome. Like
Yeah.
there's no training here.
yeah,
Speaking of getting
Yeah.
behind the camera, is there any training, media training or anything like that to help you prepare for life from being a hockey player to now being a spokesperson?
There is. I didn't do any. I probably should. If I'm gonna stay doing this, I probably should. But I retired. I went to Germany at the end of my career and then came back and was kind of sitting here, and I didn't want to jump in to anything quickly. So just in Calgary, they're like, "Come try this out. We'd love to have you talk a bit of intermission. You're well respected in this city and in the league, and we think you'd be good." So I basically got thrown right in, and it's not like I'm doing CBC or Hockey Night in Canada. It's just more the regional games. So the weekday games for now, I guess. But and I enjoyed it, and I've gotten more comfortable with it for sure now that I'm the way this year went, and but we'll see where the future brings. Like it's something I can I could grow and continue to do, or I kind of have ambitions as well to get back into the game somehow, whether it's player development or coaching. I still have that drive to do that. So I'm just kind of making sure I keep all options open. But for now, I'm enjoying the broadcasting. It keeps me involved, and I actually get to watch full games. I don't think I'd sit at home and watch full games, especially with 2 kids. And this way I get to.
for sure.
No, you mentioned that you're in Calgary now, but one thing that we forgot to touch upon is, there was a big trade that happened during the first half of your career, where you got traded as part of was a 7 or 8 player,
7 guys,
seven
I think?
guy. What was that experience like, playing for your hometown team? Also, you were given more offensive responsibility. Now it seemed like you're getting to be more of a defensive specialist later on in your career. What was that transition like, leaving from what you knew in Toronto and loved?
Yeah, it was a hard transition. And so my time in Toronto, like I came on, I was a 2-way guy. I always killed penalties. And I'd play second unit power play a little bit in Toronto. And then when Sundin and all those guys left, Tucker, when they did the Muskoka 5 move out and went into the rebuild, the 10-year rebuild, which has led them to now. I got more of an offensive role in Toronto, and I played, with Ponticross and Antropov for a season. I put up 55 points. I was getting power play time. Then we brought in Phil Kessel, and I was having success with him. And I was always a guy that could complement, playing with those skilled guys. And because I was a disher, I was responsible defensively, and it just worked. So my stock definitely went up. It was my my free agency year. I was going to be a UFA at the end of that season. So I knew that I was probably getting traded at the deadline, just the way, everybody else is getting traded. Steen got traded, Cole Yacobo. So I was like, I'm Antropov. So I'm like, I'm probably next here. So I was having a really good year. I was leading the team in scoring because Kessel was hurt the first 15 games. So I was leading the team in scoring, and the trade happened. I was like, what? Like, I was expecting maybe if I don't sign an extension, at the deadline, I'd get traded somewhere. But this happened out of the blue. And it was hard because when you're with a team, an organization for 6 years or 7 years, I played a year in St. John's as well. Mm-hmm. You become that jersey becomes a part of you. Like, you become a part of that organization, everything that it represents. And just one day it's taken away from you. And I was a leader on that team. We were a young team, but I was a leader and very, one of the most vocal guys in the room, and just gone. And 5 hours later, you're on an airplane to Calgary, and it's like going to a new high school. You're trying to be like, man, how am I going to fit in to a new team, new colors, completely different group of guys. Who knows what role I'm going to be given. And so it was tough. And I came, and I knew that they were going to offer me an extension, and I wanted to stay. I was like, yeah, this team traded me. They obviously want me, and sign an extension. And I think the what they thought they were getting in me. I don't know if the team watched me my whole career. I was a solid two-way guy, but I wasn't like a bona fide number one center, even though I was that in Toronto. But we were going through rebuild, so they, the fans here and everybody just thought I'd, be that guy, but it didn't work out that way. And I got injured the next season in training camp, so I missed training camp, and I came back, and I just had a tough year offensively. And so I kind of had to battle through all that, and the media and everything here, even though it's not Toronto, it's still Canada. It was a struggle. It was a struggle, and I had to work through it. And I eventually found my way. I played on the fourth line for a bit that year, and had to really embrace that role. And then a coaching change happened here in Calgary, and it was like a new lease on life for me. And Bob Hartley came in and used me and relied on me, and I played a significant role with the team again, kind of like I was in Toronto. And we were going through rebuild here, so I was kind of thrown into two rebuilds, which you never want to do as a player, because it means no playoffs for it was 8 or 9 years. I think I missed playoffs in a row, which sucked. But I was playing against top lines, and I just kind of was into a checking role here, and that's how I extended my career. I embraced it, and I was like, you know what, I'm good at this. And that's kind of how it went. But it was very hard leaving Toronto, because, like I said, you're a part of that jersey, becomes a part of you, and then all of a sudden you're in a new dressing room. But after a few years in Calgary, I felt the same way here, and I was here longer than Toronto, so now it feels weird looking back at my Leaf days, because I feel so part of this city and this organization. So it's crazy how it's changed.
And you talked about transitioning from Toronto to Calgary, and also the role that you were accustomed to in Toronto, not knowing what to look for, and then obviously the media playing for another Canadian city. You didn't get the offensive start that you wanted to, injuries and all that stuff. When this happens to a lot of athletes, they go through slumps, and sometimes you're able to take yourself out of a slump, but sometimes you need a collective group, an army, to help motivate you. When you were going through those difficult times and in your career, when you saw teammates like that, what were some of the ways we try to educate our audience? We both are coaching young teams. And we're going to have players on our team that are going to go through these difficult times. What are some of the things that you did to help get you through those dark days, or some things that maybe you've noticed teammates do for their teammates?
And don't say get a new coach, because we're coaches.
Honestly, and the coach wouldn't have mattered with Brent, because with Brent Sutter, by the time before he left, he actually, he was using me a lot more, and I was playing with like Jerome on the line, So it's kind of like any career goes up and down, it goes in waves. So for a player when they're down, and I've never lost sight of that, because you go through your ups, but you go through your downs. And I always knew how, you rely on your family, my wife and, the people you're closest with, they're always going to be there for you. And they're going to tell you what you need to hear. But as a player, it means so much more, when just your teammate comes up to you, or someone that you respect, or that is respected, even if it's a coach, assistant coach, they come up to you and they just have a little chat with you, and you just kind of take it one day at a time. That's what I always tried to do, because it's you can't get back to the top, right away. It's baby steps, and it's one day at a time. So I never lost sight of that. So whenever I'd see somebody else, go through that, or, because guys get scratched, guys are down each other, especially the young guys, you really going up to them and just giving a little pep talk, like, listen, like, I've been there before, just, work hard, go home, get a good meal, and be a good teammate, and come back, do your thing. It's going to turn. It always does if you have that mindset. The worst thing you can do is be negative Nancy and be a bad teammate. And that's part of the reason why I believe I played for so long and was able to carve out such a long career in a two-way role. I was able to play up and down the lineup. I could play anywhere from first line to fourth line, but being a good dressing room guy and teammate goes a long way, because your teammates remember that stuff more than, the goal you score in game 62, right? They're going to remember the stuff you talk about in the dressing room, what your teammates are like. And that's what's more important really in life. And that's what builds teams too. So my answer, I know it's a long answer, but it would be, if you see a guy down, let's just be supportive. And, and and it's the opposite too. If a guy's, doing something you don't like or keep screwing up, going up to them and giving them a little reality check in the positive way, being like, listen, like, you're not helping our team by doing what you're doing, or it works that way too. So, these are things you learn as you get older, and looking back, you grow a lot, but that's just the approach I always had. And I was thrown into it in Toronto, especially through that rebuild. I was one of the guys that had to be that guy in the dressing room, and it really helped me, be a leader and grow quickly as a player.
That's pretty crazy. And then, you're in Calgary. You left Toronto, all those savvy vets and stuff, playing with them. And then you get there, and now you're playing with Jerome McGinley, like, a recent inductee into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
He was also in GQ magazine with my grandfather.
Nice, yeah, that's right.
Passing of the torch.
We had that picture there of them in the what barn is that in?
That's actually, I think, Maple Leaf Gardens.
That is in the Gardens. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
What's Iggy like? Was he kind of that guy too that would bring you under the wing and pick you up when you're down? Like what's Jerome McGinley like?
Yeah, there's a fine line, right? You don't want to be like a little talk here or there. That's what's needed. It doesn't have to be overboard. But Iggy, man, talk about a good human being. Feisty competitor, obviously Hall of Fame career, one of the best goal scorers I ever saw and played with. But he was unbelievable. Just a positive guy. So positive. You can just hear him in interviews how positive he is. But he's like that in the dressing room too. So it was special. Getting a chance to play him and get to know him, and he was very supportive. Even when because I went there and people thought I'd be playing with their hammer on the second line, and he saw the struggles, and he'd be like, just keep going, do your thing. And when you hear that from Jerome McGinley, it's pretty special. And Matt Stajan was the same, very supportive of everybody. Those guys are so happy when other guys score on the team. They get their goals, but they're just as happy when other guys score on the team, and that's what it's all about. And Jerome's the guy. He was the last straw for me to shave my head. He was like, you got to shave it, Stage, because he shaves his head too. So he was like, just shave it. You're gonna shave eventually. So he was the last straw for that. So I owe that one to Iggy as well. But you know what? It's crazy to think you're teammates with these guys. Like Jerome is he could just control games. And the thing about the top guys, everybody in the NHL is good. Like everybody, like the 13th, 14th forward, like unbelievable hockey players. Like to be even the 13th, 14th forward in the NHL, like you're pretty much dominating junior to get that opportunity. Obviously, there's some late bloomers, but you got to dominate junior you got to dominate the league below. You got to go to the AHL and put up 60 points to get a shot in the NHL. It's just the way it is. It's a little different now because young guys, it's a younger league, but that's how it was. So these top guys, like they would, you know, you look back now and I'm like, they're naturally skilled, but their drive and like, you know, they do the extra stuff. Like Iggy would be out there before morning skates and just shoot pucks. Like this guy scored, you know, 500 goals at the time, and he's still out there shooting pucks. Like just always wanting to get better, never satisfied. And that's what those guys are like. It's and that's everybody in the NHL. Everybody's always trying to be better, but when you see like the best of the best doing it, it's you're really like, wow, like that's why these guys are so special.
So that's amazing, and it's not surprising to hear stories like that. These guys are the top athletes in the world at their profession, and they're getting paid a lot of money, you know. So
there's no ugly Ferrari.
There's
like
no ugly
Joe
Ferrari, like Joe Hughes says. But one thing that I thought, and I didn't know this, and I probably should have, prior to doing some research on the career of Matt Stajan, and I was looking at elite prospects, and I was like, okay, drafted by the Leafs, plays World Juniors in Canada,
Mississauga
Senators.
Yeah, the AAA
okay? So Mississauga Senators, Belleville Bulls, World Juniors in Canada in Halifax, drafted by the Leafs, plays in the Leafs, gets traded to Calgary.
Yeah.
Before he went to Calgary, though, he had a stop in the AHL in St. John's, also in Canada. I think that you could be the only professional hockey player to never play for an American team or play in any other country. Like your whole experience has been in Canada. Your draft, your World Juniors, your AHL career, your NHL career, and then at the end of your career, an illustrious career where you played over 1,000 games. I think it was 1,003 before it was all said and done. Is that an accurate stat? 1,003 before it was all said and done. You decide to, okay, screw Canada, screw the States. I played 1,003 games in the show. I'm not done yet, though. I'm going to go because I never played anywhere else. Is that the reason why you went to Germany? Because you were always in Canada for your whole career?
Maybe one of them. Trust me, if there was an NHL team offered me a contract in the U.S. that year, I would have been jumping on it. But you know what? I reached my 1,000th game, and you know the league's gotten younger. I was 34, and I remember just having an honest conversation. And you know, believe it or not, like Brian Burke, who traded me out of Toronto, was the president here and GM here for a bit, and you build a friendship. And he was the guy I'd go to, and I'd be like, Berkey. I remember I called him in the offseason. I'm like, I had some tryout opportunities. Like you see older guys go on PTOs, and I said, honestly, what do you think here? I feel like I'm not done yet. I got something left in the tank. Should I go on a PTO and give that a shot? Like, what do you honestly think chances are with the way the league's gone? Or should I go to Europe and experience that? And he called me and said, Stage, he goes, honestly, he goes, the percentage for PTOs is very low. He goes, honestly, you've had a great career. Go to Europe and finish off that way, because he didn't want to see me, you know, go to a PTO and just see on a ticker, you know, released. And that's the way your career ends. That'd be, after such a good career, obviously a Stanley Cup would have been nice, but you know, you sometimes have to make choices. So just sitting with my wife and me and Katie talking, we were like, we always talked about going to Europe, to tell you the truth, and playing a season or a couple seasons at the end of my career. And yeah, we were just like, hey, what are our choices here? And we found a landing spot in Munich, great city. And part of going there, which was nice, was they have 10 imports. So there were 10 other Canadians on the team, where we could have went to Switzerland, but it would have been only 3 imports, or we could have went to the KHL, which I didn't want to do that with 2 kids. so we decided on Munich, and we knew a couple of guys on the team and their wives, and we loved it. It was just kind of go there for the experience, see what it's like, and it's something different for us. Play, I still felt like I wanted to play, had that competitiveness in me, and we enjoyed it. It was a really cool experience. Just the fans over there. The hockey's really good. Like I would say, it's as a whole, it's better than the AHL. The top guys in the AHL are better because they're going to the NHL. But our team in Munich, I'd be like, we would win in the AHL. I would think. I was actually quite shocked at the quality of play over there, and so it opened my eyes up. It was a learning experience too, because if I stay in the game and if I want to get to management or whatever I want to do or coach down the road, like there's so much opportunity over there and leagues over there to experience and just to see how everything worked over there. It was awesome, and living in Munich was just such a cool experience for our family as well.
Just touching on like that, it's pretty cool. Like that Burke story. How important was that, message from him? Like we had someone else we talked to about. They're saying it's better when you kind of know when. Rancourt, yeah. So he was kind of saying like it's better to know when you're doing it than having someone else say,
See, and this is the problem that I had. Like, I still think if I lost like 70 pounds, that I could probably make the Leafs right now, right? Like, I still think that I'm a player, right? But I never had that self-realization about I was never that guy to be that thoughtful, to be like, okay, you're like, let's be real here, Rane. So how? Sorry to cut you off. How were you? Like, is it different now? In hindsight, having those conversations with Burke and later in your career, as opposed to when you're a rookie, being able to go to somebody that's that experienced. And I guess obviously you built a relationship over years and years and years of working with him. But as you get older and you start to mature and you build those relationships, what those conversations that you have about your career, what are those like? I mean, you have your agent, you have your family, you have this, that, and the other thing. When you go outside of that foundation, how meaningful is that, and how important is that?
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, because there are so many guys that I remember playing at 19 when I was playing with the Leafs. I would play shinny hockey or go play men's league with some of my buddies, and then I stopped right away because every other guy on the team would act like they could play in the NHL, and I'm like, yeah, like I'm not doing this, right? So that doesn't change. But honestly, talking with my agent Pat Morris is always honest with me too, and like we broke down the numbers. We went team by team, being like, where's a good fit if we could figure out. I believed I could still play in the league like as a depth guy, like fourth line. Like I didn't have I had a good end to the season, but you have to be realistic about trends in the league, and it's getting younger and younger, and you see the odd old guy now or veteran guy like Spezza and Thornton who they commit to a role, but those are guys that are like Hall of Famers. Like I wasn't a Hall of Famer, I was a quality two-way player and was serviceable, but just talking and being able, you just mature and there's no bad questions, and you're not nervous to ask questions to these big figures. Like when I was 21, would I just call Brian Burke and ask for advice? No, like you build a relationship, right?
Yeah.
But as you get older and you're a part of a leadership group on a team, it gets easier and easier to go into the coach's room, and it's way more open nowadays too, where you can go talk to coaches. You have to. It's just way more open, where before it was like, okay, shut up and play, and if you're not playing good, I'm not going to talk to you for a month, right? It's just changed. So my relationship grew with Berkey and pretty much everybody as I got older, and Berkey he's just a guy I call. He said, call me if you ever need anything, and we still text, and it was easy to do. Now it seems like nothing, right? But yeah, I guess when I was 20, there's no way I would do that, right? So it's crazy to think. But funny thing about Berkey, he traded me and then signed me in Calgary as well to an extension. So just getting to know him over the years and talking, and then you hear the backstories, right? He's like, I never wanted to trade you to Toronto. I wanted to re-sign you, but but I had to trade you to get Phaneuf. You wanted Phaneuf, and you had to be part of that deal. You and Haig had to be part of that deal. And I was like, yeah, I get it. Like, it wasn't a bad trade for Toronto. It's not like, but it's weird hearing that he's like, I would have kept you. I wanted to keep you with that trade, and how you look back, how your career could have been different, right? If you stayed there, even, where you would have fit in, and just the different path it could take. But that's life as a hockey player. You control your day to day and your play, but you're going to run into coaches that don't like you. You're going to run into managers that are going to trade you, and you just kind of got to deal with it. That's the life you signed up for, and it's the best life in the world, right? You're playing in the NHL. I wouldn't, I'm living my dream.
That's amazing.
For sure.
One question that I wanted to ask is it's a two-part question. What was your holy shit, I'm in the NHL moment, if you have one, and then if you don't have one, or you do have one, when did that subside, and when did you feel like you belonged? Do you remember that moment when you're just like, okay, I'm here, and like I can get going now and start to feel comfortable with my surroundings?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, especially because I talk a lot. But honestly, you know what, when my oh my God moment, like when I went to my first training camp with the Leafs, that was like, taking face-offs against Matt Stajan in the blue and white game. Just like, that was like I'm here, my first training camp. And, I remember getting, playing well. And I remember, Shane Corson chirping me, being like, hey, Staj, calling me by the wrong name. Hey, Staj, if you dangle me, I'm going to kill you. Like, just like, just in-game talk in a blue and white game. But I remember just being there. I'm like, man, like, I'm at Leafs camp, and I have an opportunity to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs one day. And I was like, I'm not, going to miss this opportunity. Like, this is what I've dreamed of. And I worked so hard. And that summer and that season in Belleville, my last season in Belleville, like every game I was like, this is it. Like I just went after it. And before you know it, I was at training camp. A year later, I played my first NHL game, and I remember being we had training camp in Sweden. I was there in Sweden. I remember playing, getting my feet wet, playing there. And like I said, like Darcy Tucker's like, if you play well, you're going to get a chance here in the league. Like, that's how it is. Best players are going to stay here. They don't just keep guys to keep guys. And I remember just that training camp, I led the team in scoring, and through it, I was confident. I was like, I can play at this level. Like, I can play in the NHL for a full season, not just one game. It's a big difference between playing, your first 5-6 games because of adrenaline. But that was my coming out party when I was like, I can be here, because I played 8 preseason games. I don't even know the stats, but I think I had 8 points in 8 games. And just, I was like, I can play at this level. And it was still the older rules. There was hooking, and I was a scrawny kid, but I was like, I'm smart enough where I can get by here. And I did. So that was where I was like, I got this. But that's one thing when I look back on, like I just said, with Darcy Tucker talking to me in Sweden at a pregame meal, I never lost sight of that. Every year at training camp, I'm like, I got to perform. Every preseason, I got to perform, because it's one thing to get to the NHL. It's another thing to stay there. And I know you get established, and then, you get your contracts. But my last 4 or 5 years, I was a two-way guy, and especially my last 2 years, I was on the fourth line. I was an easy guy to scratch, because the older guys are easy guys to scratch. But I was like, I never let up. Never gave. I was like, this is my spot. If someone wants to take my job, they better be way better than me, because I'm not giving it up. And I never lighted that my whole career, because you work your whole life to get there, and I made sure I stay in there. So that's what I'm really proud of, is I was able to adapt, play different roles, but keep my job at the NHL level. I never had to go to the minors. I stayed there, and I prided myself on that. And if I didn't have that attitude, I don't think I would have reached 1,000 games.
Amazing feat, by the way. Like, that's just, I think.
Congratulations.
Yeah, for
congratulations.
Sure. I think I saw that only like 300 plus players has ever played 1,000 games in the NHL. So
in over 100 years.
Yeah, like that is.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to congratulate you You know, when
Yeah, you lost my phone number. That's why.
Well, I didn't realize he's played in Calgary for the last 8 years, and he still has a 416 phone number.
Well, you know what's funny?
I've also had 17 different phone numbers since we last played together as well.
We were actually talking about getting guests, and you know, my wife, my life partner, is from Belleville, and so is your wife, and you know, they went to the same high school. There's a.
When are you just going to put a ring on her finger instead of saying your life partner?
I said wife first.
Okay.
That's a huge call out. Penalty or part of the game? Like I'm gonna get chirped for this now for like weeks. But anyways, what was I saying there? Now I'm like thrown for a huge one. Jesus. But no, I was saying, getting Stajan and losing his number and stuff. Rane's like, hey, you think, you know, your girl could call Katie and maybe get Stage's number? I'm like, dude, like, just message
So
with
what
the
had
guy,
happened?
like-
What had happened was, I chickened out. Like I said, I'm a fanboy.
Chickened
I'm a
out.
fanboy. So I was trying to backdoor finagle your phone number through his life partner.
through the Bellevillians.
Through
you
the
know?
Bellevillians. But Stage, your career and everything that you embody, I'm like so proud of you, and it couldn't have happened to a better person. And oftentimes, even in my darkest days, and one of the reasons why I was able to turn my life around, and you don't know this, was I always told myself that good things happen to good people, and if I wasn't a good person, then shitty things were going to happen to me. And you were somebody that I always remembered as this guy had this prolific career. And the reason why is he was just always a good person, like through and through. And I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished. And I know that tragedy happened to you and Katie with the passing of your son, and you started the foundation. But can you talk about the work that you're doing now and giving back to your community, drawing awareness, the humanitarian work, the philanthropy, and all those things that you're trying to do right now?
Yeah. So it's something that we've never lost sight of. Even getting to the NHL, I was like, you know, you're a hockey player first, for sure, but you're also a role model, whether you like it or not, especially in Canada, Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, like people look up to you, and you have the opportunity to make a difference. So I never lost sight of that. Always made sure I was heavily involved in you know, the children's hospital, sick kids, whatever it is. And then when personal tragedy, you know, happened to me and Katie, we wanted to extend, you know, awareness and be open about it, because it happens to a lot of people. A lot of people lose their children, their kids right after they're born, and you know, a lot of people through childbirth. And so we were very open about it and started a foundation, and you know, been trying to do some things here in Calgary, you know, that kind of keep Emerson's memory and going, and something we'll continue to do. It's always been important to me, and it should be important. It's part of, I believe it's part of being a professional athlete and being a role model and you know, in the hockey world. So that's kind of you know, the story on it. It's amazing. It's already been 7 years since that tragedy, but you know, you still always remember you know, obviously things like that, and we'll never forget, and we'll continue to do things. So yeah, that's how I was brought up. That's how Katie was brought up, and we're still heavily involved in the Calgary community. And we also appreciated the support we got from the Calgary community and the hockey community when we were going through our tough time personally. So you know, things go both ways, but it's something that's very important, and everybody, it should be important to everybody, to tell you the truth. But you know, when you have a chance to make a difference, and you know, even just going to the children's hospital and visiting kids, you know, you put a smile on their face because you play for the Calgary Flames, or the sick kids, you put smiles on their face because you play for the Maple Leafs. So I never lost sight of that, and I made sure that I, you know, would do that as much as I could, because that's making a difference. It's, you know, scoring, like I said, scoring, you know, your 8th goal in game 56 won't make as much of a difference as going to the kids hospital, children's hospital here, and putting smiles on you know, all these families who are going through tough times, all because you know, just because you play for the in the NHL, you can make that difference. So that's what I've always tried to do.
Amazing. And where can we find like the info for the foundation and stuff?
Yeah, just if you go on my Twitter page or my Instagram page, there's a link. But it's just, if you Google Emerson Stajan Foundation, it'll bring you. It's through the Toronto Foundation, so you can donate there if you'd like to help. But there's a ton of charities, so whatever's near and dear to your heart, I encourage everybody to make a difference if they can, and that's all we're trying to do here.
That's awesome. And we'll definitely have a link in our show notes below, so to the Emerson Stajan Foundation.
Sure.
We have a segment, Matt. We want to wrap this up. We know it's getting late where you are. It's definitely late where we are. We have a segment called Penalty or Part of the Game, and we would love for you to be a part of that, to give your perspective on something that I think you're going to have a lot of fun with, because I have a story. You good?
All
You
right,
good for time? You got
let's,
another 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I'm all for it. I'm just trying. I got to chirp Rane Court somehow, but I didn't really get that in with all your questions.
Well, no. Go before we go into this. Give them a good chirp, because we're gonna ask that actually. Is a gold medal at the Pan Am Games better than a
silver medal at the World Juniors? That's a great question.
Definitely not. But I'll let him think that. It's funny because during the pandemic, we'd try and go to the outdoor rinks here and just get a skate on. Just me and him, we'd go out and pass the puck around, and his skating is still terrible. So he could snap it around. I'll give him that. But he's still got the tough stride going.
Who was a better skater, me or Randy?
Oh, you ran on the ice, so that's tough. But he fell a lot more though. Remember, his nickname was
Bambi.
Bambi on ice. Yeah. So
nice.
Hey, but you know what? Everybody looks at the stride. It's, who cares how smooth the player is? It's getting from point A to point B. Look at Mark Stone. Is he a pretty skater? Like, he's smart and he gets from point A to point B. That's what I'll talk you up. You were more like that, Carney. You weren't watching you skate was the prettiest, but you got the job done and you had skill, man. Obviously, your career, like, you put up some big numbers there in Halifax and after that. So we groomed you right in Belleville before you really did off.
I need a little bit more time in the oven to have a career kind of to resemble yours. A little bit more time. I wish you would have made the Leafs as a 20-year-old or a 21-year-old and not a 19-year-old, because then you could have taught me a little bit more.
Yeah, there you go.
About how to be a good teammate. But
well, he did give you a pick-me-up, because we had a guest on our show, a scout, and who was actually part of that St. Mike's team that beat the Belleville team that year.
Yeah, he was
he wasn't nice with Rane and his skating.
He goes, Rane, you had first-round talent, 9th-round feet, and 10th-round work ethic.
Like, it was one of the best lines. At your
not
expense,
factual,
but
at my
it was one of the
expense,
best lines of our entire
Louis
season.
Vigilante, you're blind.
What do you say about that?
I don't think it was your work ethic wasn't that. I'll say this: you weren't too keen in the defensive zone. So you're all around. You're an offensive guy. You're offensive minded, which nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But that's just the way you were. That's sorry, just battery power. But
are we gonna lose you?
No, I'm good. I got 20%. I'm good.
Nice.
Your D zone work ethic. I got left
20%. Still got the jokes from the Leaf days, eh?
Well, we were like the Edmonton Oilers, like that team that we had my first year, your draft year, like. We had 4 of the top 7 scorers on that team. Like, we were winning 7-6, 8-7, 9-4. Like, it was ridiculous. Nobody was playing. I looked at your stats. I'm just like, how is this guy plus 30?
Yeah.
When Renzi and Robinson are nowhere to be found. Like, Robinson's already in the offensive zone, the puck's in the crease in our defensive zone.
Someone had to, stay
But
back.
honestly, like, I look back at that, and I'm like, that helped. Like, I was always defensive minded, but like, I had to be, and that helped me in my career because to play that, you got to play a 90-foot game unless you're elite talent, right? You can't just be all offense unless you're that guy, right?
Yep.
There's only one guy in each team. You got to be able to play. And so being defensive minded definitely helped me get to the NHL a lot younger than most guys. So it's crazy. If we had, maybe a little bit more depth, I don't want to chirp our D, but if we had more depth on defense that year, I think we would have maybe went all the way, but
Eric
we
Reitz.
got some injuries in playoffs.
What was his name? Eric Reitz? Just shut us down. And I think Mark and I might have been on the ice in the overtime series ending loss in Barrie.
Oh no.
And I don't know.
You guys,
I don't know why I was on the ice as an underager in overtime in the playoffs. I felt like the biggest piece of crap ending the career of Renzi Robinson. I was just like, that bus ride back was sucked.
Yeah, but you know what? Looking at that, I remember that series. We blew a 2-goal lead in every road game, so we shouldn't have been in that position. But I do remember you and Randy both flamingoing on that winning goal. So
We just wanted you to get to Toronto quicker.
Yeah, there you go.
That was the following year. I can't even use that. So anyway, Stajo, man, congrats on all your success. Look forward to what's to come if you get back into coaching or management or wherever that path takes you. But thank you for your time. We have the best part of our show is penalty part of the game.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Here we go.
Get right into it. Penalty or part of the game.
All right. So this week's penalty or part of the game is bag skates.
Bag skates.
I'll let you take the wheel here because this was like
This is something that was near and dear to my heart from our time in Belleville. And I want to take you back to training camp, my rookie year, the year before my rookie year. Kyle Wellwood, who's also a Leaf draft pick and was in competition, it seems like you beat him to that spot as the young guy on the Leafs. Kyle Wellwood was the OHL scoring champion the year before I came to the O, and everybody's talking about Kyle Wellwood. And it's like, who's this little Kyle Wellwood? And we're bag skating. Jim Holton, put us through the paces, 2-on-1s, zone entries, this, that, the other thing. And at the end of it, every practice, it seemed like we always had a bag skate. And James Boyd's there, blow the whistle, again. And I'm coming from the Toronto Marlies, where I'm scoring 2 goals a game. I'm like, and to Stajan's point, defensive responsibility, not my strong point. So like, skating, not my, to Louis' point,
work ethic.
Anyways, but I'll never forget. We were dying. It must have been like a 3-a-day or something stage. And at the end, I don't know if you recall this, but Jimmy used to always allow us to nominate one guy to shoot the puck the length of the ice. If they get it in the net, practice is over. Okay? So, obviously, everybody were dead tired. Okay, guys, pick a guy. Everyone to a man of us. Well, Welly. Everybody pick Kyle Wellwood, okay? Kyle Wellwood stands up in the middle of the ice. And then, do you remember this? Takes a clapper into the stands and makes us skate some more. I was like,
why?
Why didn't Coughlin, Renzi, Robinson, DeVoe, McCormick, Paymont, Silverstone, why didn't somebody take, because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Nor like Kyle would probably kick my butt, right? Like we heard what happened with Fedor Tutin. I was a lover, not a fighter. But Kyle Wellwood, this guy, he was one of my most memorable. He was my teammate for not a long period of time, but one of my most memorable teammates, partly for that reason. So for me,
Yeah.
bag skates, obviously, you look at me now, I'm 270 pounds. Bag skates are a definite penalty. And another thing that used to bother me, okay, about bag skates. Okay, you get blown out. Normally you get a bag skate for playing a bad game, right? If you're playing well, you're not going to get a bag skate. Sometimes coaches will throw it in there just because they want to get you a conditioning skate. But oftentimes you get a bag skate, in my experience anyway, after you play a crappy game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But sometimes coaches will bag skate their players for playing a poor game, and they have a game the next day. And it's just like, how? What's the purpose?
Yeah,
You're saying that we didn't work hard in the game, so I'm going to bag skate you. Don't touch it. Don't even look at a puck. Don't even sniff a puck, and just blow the whistle, blow the whistle, blow the whistle. I never understood it.
Yeah.
Don't like it, especially when if you're going to nominate a guy, Kyle Wellwood, if you're going to nominate a guy, like at least give your best efforts to score, or say guy like. So definite penalty for me.
Wait, put your coach's hat on for a second though. As a coach now, like, so you're never gonna bag your boys?
Oh, all the time.
your
Training
girls,
camp.
or
You go to training camp to get in shape, conditioning.
All right.
But when I was playing, penalty. Now that I'm coaching, part of the game.
Okay. Stage, you want to go next or should I? You want to touch on this Wellwood story? I think you should go because there's a lot going on there with the Welly story.
Well, yeah. Well, I remember that. He did that. That's Wally would do that all the time because he didn't skate hard when we did skate. So he was like, "Oh, everybody else is bang. I'll just throw in the crowd." But yeah, honestly, I played with Wally in pro hockey too, and he was no different. He's awesome. He's just so skilled. But I would say it's definitely part of the game. I know that's not what people want to hear, but. The timing of it has to be right, though. It has to be the right timing, but you need it. Like I remember, I've played with coaches who don't do much skating, and everybody's so in shape nowadays. But you still need that, I think, as a player.
For sure, that's cool. I'm gonna go side with our guest. It's part of the game, but you know, you can't just do it when you have a game the next day, or it
like
can't
is there ever a time when it's not part of the game?
Well, here let me.
Day before games, definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely a penalty for sure. But you know, I'm going on my 5th year as a coach, and you know, I'm an assistant coach, so I get to work with an amazing staff, and I've been with the same staff for 5 years. And Tom Carnevale, he does this thing. It's called the hidden bag. So it'll be like, you know, regroups with pucks. So they think, oh yeah, we got pucks. This is fun. Practice is awesome. And then they don't realize that they've been skating up and down the ice with these regroups, back check, regroup, double, and it's a hidden bag. So, you know, I think, you know, bag skates are part of the game, but if you could even incorporate some pucks into it and make them think like they're having fun, but really you're skating them like dogs, I think that's a good way to do it. So I'm going to say part of the game. Once again, we don't agree. And once again, the guest agrees
Listen,
with
if
me.
Stage,
This
if,
is
if,
like,
if,
way to
if
go.
Stage, if Stage ever comes back to Toronto, which it doesn't look like you are, but if he ever does and he gets into the coaching world in minor hockey and we're all coaching in the same age group, all the players that would go to your team are now, after watching this episode, definitely never playing for the both of you guys, are going to come play for me, and we'll make it work.
For sure.
But Stage, man, you've been amazing. I can't thank you enough for your time. And I look forward to seeing what else you have in store, because you're an amazing person, an amazing family, and I'm so thankful for this opportunity. So thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thanks a lot, man.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. And you got a good thing going here, Carney. It's great to catch up with you. Let's talk again soon. And thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. Now get some sleep. Tell Katie I'm sorry for keeping you up past your bedtime.
No, it's early. It's only 10 here. You guys are later there, so
Yeah, for sure.
I'm good.
Well, before you go, any dog in the race? Are you going for the Leafs in the playoffs? You watching the playoff hockey? What's going on?
Yeah, Leaf fans deserve it. I hope they do well. It's been a tough go, but they got a good team. I think they might come out of depending on injuries, they'll come out of the North. They're my pick out of the North, but I don't see like Colorado. They're my like them or Vegas. I see them as the team to beat. They're just so good. If you guys stay up this late and watch those games, like that McKinnon and the way that Colorado team plays is it's unbelievable.
Nice.
So they're my pick.
All right. Well, go Leafs, go.
Yeah, well, let's hope.
Yeah.
The North, I hope so. Like,
You'll
that's
have
what
to
I'm
come
rooting
back for that parade. You know, like we've been planning it for a long time. So
Yeah, I'll get my alumni jacket on and just jump right in for sure.
the alumni Belleville hat, the alumni jacket. Stage, thanks so
There you
much
go.
Thanks
for
so much,
being
buddy.
here, man.
All right, see you guys.
All
Take
right,
care,
have
brother.
a good one. Matt Stajan, what a guy.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Just a beauty.
A lot of good things to say about you, too. You know?
I guess I wasn't as bad of a teammate as I thought I was.
Everybody you bring on or, you know, have
I've
connected us to.
I was gonna say
say.
I slid a couple dollars. I transferred Stajan a couple dollars to say some, but clearly the man doesn't need it with the
You know
career
what?
that he had.
I feel bad because the guy I bring on
Chirps me.
chirps you.
Oh, now we know who needs to bring on all the guests from now on.
Exactly. Well, you know what? Actually, Joseph Garaffa, he was like, we got to get you out there on the ice. He
Yep,
goes, he
yep.
knows you still got it. So he threw you some compliments there.
Talk to me after I lose a couple pounds. We'll see. I'm coming back, making the comeback.
You are. And you're putting the work in.
That's it.
Never mind
Just
that work ethic
Just
stuff.
like Stajan said,
Yeah.
right? One of the things that he learned in playing at the highest level in the NHL is the work ethic that
Yeah.
these athletes put in.
For sure.
Day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, and it's not a fluke for
Yeah.
the success that some of these athletes have, like Stajan and some of the illustrious players that he played with, like Joe McGinley, Matt.
It's just so
Matt
crazy,
Sundin.
like, When we
I mean,
were,
talk about the captains that he played with. Matt Sundin, Jerome McGinley. You know, like he's just a special person.
Yeah. Well, on that note, another episode. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Yes.
Rainbow 9th round feet Carnegie.
And Britain stole, Loveson.
We got that from Davis. Davis the other day on the phone. Davis, how's it going? Shout
up,
out to
Davis?
Davis. He was like, all right, Brit's the champ now.
That's it.
And Honen's like,
Yeah.
Brit stole
That's
I'm
it.
leading the league now.
Don't forget to like, sub, share, comment. Also, our audio, in case you're bored and you don't have access to electronic device that plays our beautiful features.
Yeah.
Don't
Get
forget,
on that
get us
Spotify and
Anchor,
Google, all those fun
all of
ones,
those
podcatchers, and plug us in. Go for a run. Go
Don't
for
forget
a
to
jog.
comment. What do you guys want the next penalty part of the game?
That too, yeah.
You
that
know,
too.
like give us some suggestions.
We would love that. We'd love that.
All right.
We're not running out of them. We need a couple. That's all.
We want to make it more interactive.
Once again, thanks to our sponsor, Own Aces. We got the new merch now too. You got the new red jerseys.
Got the new red
They're
jersey
looking
going,
fly.
red face mask on.
And Tata bless O'Dane. What a guy.
O'Dane,
He's-
what a
he's such a-
beauty! I can't wait to meet him.
Like
I
you're
can't
the
wait.
best hype man.
Yo, he could be
But he is like
A
he's
close
just
second?
Like so, and it's all love.
All
Man.
love.
So yeah, you
All
guys
love.
got to go visit O'Dane and Tata bless and his mom. Like Mama makes the sausage. She's great. So thank you for them for sponsoring the show. And tune in next week. We got some more guests coming down the pipe. And subscribe to all of our stuff, please. And
love.
You did that on purpose. Be part of the game. Let's go.